Ever wonder how close spy movies get to the truth? You've seen the gadgets, the double agents, the whispered codes, but how much of it really happened that way? Turns out some Cold War films hit closer to real intelligence work than you'd think. Forget the explosions and chase scenes, these stories dive into paranoia, loyalty, and quiet acts that changed history. Because sometimes the most unbelievable spy stories are the ones that never needed exaggeration. Number 15. The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, 1965. Cold. That's the first word that comes to mind watching Richard Burton in The Spy Who Came In From the Cold. Not just the weather, but the soul of the story. Based on John le Carré's groundbreaking novel, this film redefined what a spy movie could be. Gone were the champagne flutes and tuxedos. In their place, a weary agent disillusioned, suspicious of everyone, and unsure which side he's even fighting for anymore. Set at the height of East and West tension, Burton plays Alec Leamas, a British operative sent on what appears to be a revenge mission. The twist? He's the bait. The mission becomes a web of lies so layered that by the end, even the viewer questions what's real. That's exactly what Real Ex-Agents praised it for, its truthful bleakness. No glory, no trust, just manipulation in service of invisible masters. Former operatives have noted that the psychological exhaustion, moral confusion, and bureaucratic chess match portrayed here mirror the actual grind of Cold War intelligence work. Le Carré himself was once a British agent, and his insight bleeds through every frame. Critics at the time called it anti-Bond, and that's precisely why it endures. The Spy Who Came In From the Cold doesn't glamorize espionage, it strips it bare, showing that in this world, everyone's expendable. Number 14. The Lives of Others, 2006. If paranoia had a sound, it would be the clicking of hidden recording reels in The Lives of Others. Set in 1980s. East Germany, this German masterpiece follows Captain Wiesler, a loyal Stasi officer assigned to spy on a playwright. But what begins as routine surveillance slowly cracks his certainty and his conscience. The film captures the suffocating reach of the East German secret police with unnerving precision. Former intelligence workers from both sides of the Berlin Wall have called it painfully accurate, the endless paperwork, the mistrust, the moral erosion. There are no gadgets, no glamorous agents, just the constant dread of being watched. Director Florian Henkel von Donnersmarck immersed himself in authentic archives, even visiting former Stasi offices to rebuild sets down to the model of the telephones used. What makes The Lives of Others stand out is its emotional realism. Wiesler's gradual awakening feels deeply human, showing how the machinery of surveillance eats not only its victims, but its operators. Historians praised it for exposing the human toll of ideological loyalty. It's rare that a spy movie makes you weep not from suspense, but from compassion. And that's why Real Spies called it one of the truest depictions of their era, quiet, claustrophobic, and devastatingly real. Number 13. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, 2011. Gray suits, dim offices, endless cigarettes. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy doesn't thrill, it haunts. Adapted from John le Carré's iconic novel, this slow, deliberate masterpiece follows George Smiley, played by Gary Oldman, as he searches for a mole inside British intelligence. There are no chase scenes, no explosions, only quiet rooms filled with secrets. Ex-MI6 officers have praised the film for portraying espionage as it really was, patient, methodical, and full of paperwork. The tradecraft here is human, not mechanical. Every coded phrase, every half-smile, every silence matters. Director Thomas Alfredson leans on le Carré's first-hand experience as the spy-building scenes that feel unnervingly real, as though the camera stumbled into actual debriefings. Former agents have also admired the film's tone, its muted tension, its sense of bureaucracy over bravery. Oldman's Smiley embodies what one operative called controlled paranoia, calm on the surface, chaos beneath. Each move is a chess piece, each conversation a possible trap. Loosely inspired by the Cambridge 5 spy ring, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy captures espionage stripped of glamour. Its tension comes not from danger in the streets, but from danger across the table, proof that the scariest betrayals rarely make a sound. Number 12. Bridge of Spies, 2015. Leave it to Steven Spielberg to turn a simple handshake into a moment of global tension. Bridge of Spies tells the true story of James Donovan, a New York lawyer who defended accused Soviet operative Rudolf Abel during the height of Cold War fear and later negotiated one of the most famous prisoner swaps in history. What makes this film stand apart is its authenticity. Intelligence veterans have praised its precise recreation of the era, the suspicion, the political maneuvering, and the moral tightrope of defending someone labeled the enemy. Tom Hanks plays Donovan with quiet resolve, proving that courage in the Cold War wasn't about gadgets or guns, but integrity and logic under pressure. The movie's defining moment, the prisoner exchange on a fog-covered bridge in Berlin, really occurred in 1962. Spielberg used real photographs and testimonies to stage the event exactly as it happened, capturing both its gravity and restraint. Former negotiators even confirmed that the polite yet coded dialogue mirrored actual Cold War diplomacy. At its heart, Bridge of Spies is less about espionage than ethics. It shows that true bravery in divided times wasn't secrecy, it was empathy. For those who lived it, the film feels less like fiction and more like memory. Number 11. The Courier, 2020. When Benedict Cumberbatch took on the role of Greville Wynne in The Courier, he wasn't signing up for a typical spy thriller, he was stepping into a true story that still amazes real intelligence veterans. Wynne was an ordinary British salesman drawn into extraordinary circumstances, recruited by MI6 to secretly ferry information from Soviet officer Oleg Penkovsky, who risked everything to prevent a nuclear catastrophe. Unlike most espionage films, The Courier portrays spy work as endurance, not adventure. The tense meetings, coded exchanges, and constant fear of surveillance are drawn directly from declassified accounts. Historians have confirmed Wynne's missions were crucial in alerting the West during the Cuban Missile Crisis, proving how one ordinary man helped avert global disaster. Ex-agents praised the film's honesty about the personal cost of secrecy. Wynne wasn't built for the shadows, he stumbled into them and they nearly destroyed him. When he's caught, the story doesn't turn heroic, it turns painfully human. Cumberbatch's haunting performance, including his dramatic weight loss, underscores that toll. The Courier shows that real heroism isn't glamorous, it's lonely, frightening, and often comes from those who never asked to be spies at all. Number 10. The Good Shepherd, 2006. Power doesn't always roar, it whispers behind closed doors, where secrets are traded like currency. The Good Shepherd, directed by Robert De Niro and starring Matt Damon, explores the birth of the CIA and the personal cost of living in a world built on deception. Damon plays Edward Wilson, a composite of real American intelligence founders whose life unfolds from Yale's secret societies to Cold War operations shaping global politics. The film's power lies in its realism. Former officers called it eerily familiar, the coded talk, the quiet paranoia, the sacrifices that erode every human bond. Instead of action, it offers unease. Long silences, tense rooms, and moral compromises stacked like files in a drawer. Its backdrop, Bay of Pigs, chaos. Soviet infiltration, interagency feuds feels authentic because it is. Critics found it slow, but insiders praised it for one rare truth. Espionage is lonely. Wilson isn't a hero, but a warning, a man who gives everything to secrecy until he has nothing left to protect. The Good Shepherd doesn't thrill with explosions. It lingers in silence, showing the real cost of power. For those who lived it, that quiet ache is exactly how the Cold War truly felt. Number 9. The Spy Gone North, 2018. Few modern films capture the silent dread of espionage like The Spy Gone North. Based on a true story, this South Korean thriller follows intelligence officer Park Suk-young, who infiltrates North Korea's elite under the guise of a businessman during the tense 1990s. From the very first scene, danger hangs in the air, no explosions or chases, just quiet fear and the constant risk of exposure. Park moves through smoke-filled rooms and formal dinners where every phrase, every glance could mean betrayal. What makes the film remarkable is its patience. Real agents have praised it for showing infiltration as it truly is long stretches of waiting, careful planning, and endless self-control. Director Yoon Jong-bin recreates the atmosphere with uncanny accuracy from coated toast to wary smiles across negotiation tables. Even former intelligence advisors confirmed that real operations often relied on slow psychological games taking years to build fragile trust. But beneath its political layers lies something deeply human. Park begins questioning not his orders, but his own beliefs, wondering which side truly serves peace. By the end, The Spy Gone North transcends its genre. It isn't just about espionage, it's about identity and the quiet heartbreak of losing yourself for a cause you no longer understand. Number 8. A Most Wanted Man, 2014. Some spies chase action, others chase ghosts. In A Most Wanted Man, the late Philip Seymour Hoffman gives a masterful performance as Günther Bachmann, a weary German intelligence officer battling unseen threats in post-9/11 Europe. Though set after the Cold War, the film drips with its same gray atmosphere, paranoia, compromise, and quiet despair. Adapted from John le Carré's novel, it reflects his trademark realism. No gadgets, no clean victories, just endless negotiations and moral decay. Intelligence veterans have praised the film for capturing the real tempo of espionage, long meetings, subtle politics, and the crushing pressure from superiors who treat human lives like numbers. Bachmann's carefully built operation collapses not from danger but from bureaucracy, a detail ex-agents called heartbreakingly real. Director Anton Corbijn films Hamburg as a city of shadows full of rain fatigue and fading hope. There's no glamour here, no celebration when it ends, just silence. A Most Wanted Man isn't about winning. It's about enduring. It reveals the emotional toll of living in secrecy and the bitter truth that the best spies rarely get credit, only scars. Number 7. Spy Game, 2001. Before there was Bourne or Bond reboots, Spy Game reminded audiences that espionage was a thinking man's sport. Directed by Tony Scott and starring Robert Redford and Brad Pitt, it's a sharp, time-hopping thriller about loyalty, mentorship, and manipulation stretched across decades of Cold War history. Redford plays Nathan Muir, a seasoned CIA officer on the verge of retirement, who learns that his former protege Tom Bishop is about to be executed overseas. Through flashbacks spanning Vietnam, Berlin, and Beirut, the film pieces together their complex relationship, one built on trust, betrayal, and survival. Former intelligence officers have praised Spy Game for its authentic portrayal of the trade, layered politics, quiet deals, and the subtle art of persuasion. Muir doesn't storm enemy lines, he bends rules and manipulates systems with timing and wit. Even the film's training sequences, teaching observation, deception, and emotional control echo real field manuals. What makes Spy Game unforgettable is its cynicism. Muir's motto, "Don't risk your life or your career for an asset," cuts to the heart of espionage. Cold, calculated, and true to life, the movie exposes the side of spy work few films dare to show, the part where survival matters more than glory. Number 6. The Constant Gardener, 2005. Not all Cold War stories ended when the wall came down, some simply changed shape. The Constant Gardener, adapted from John le Carré's novel, brings the tone of classic espionage into a modern arena of diplomacy, profit, and secrecy. Ralph Fiennes plays Justin Quayle, a quiet British diplomat whose life unravels after his wife dies under suspicious circumstances in Africa. What follows isn't a chase for villains, but a pursuit of truth through layers of polite corruption. Every handshake hides leverage. Every smile masks calculation. Real intelligence analysts have praised the film's authenticity in portraying soft power espionage where influence replaces bullets and information becomes the most dangerous currency. Director Fernando Meirelles builds tension through observation, not spectacle. Coded meetings, whispered exchanges, and bureaucratic walls that feel suffocatingly real. Though fictional, it mirrors truths pulled from declassified documents about covert diplomacy and manipulation of global policy. Insiders called it hauntingly familiar. At its core, The Constant Gardener isn't about spies, it's about conscience. It reminds us that in the new age of power, silence can be the greatest weapon, and those who dare to question it often pay the highest price. Number 5. The Tailor of Panama, 2001. If Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy was about quiet paranoia, The Tailor of Panama is about how easily charm can build an empire of lies. Pierce Brosnan stars as Andy Osnard, a British agent exiled to Panama after a career of questionable decisions. He's manipulative, arrogant, and utterly believable because this is espionage without morality, just business. The story follows Osnard as he recruits a local tailor played by Jeffrey Rush, who invents intelligence reports to impress him. Those lies spiral until governments start moving troops based on fiction. It's darkly funny and terrifyingly plausible. Intelligence professionals have called it one of the most brutally honest portrayals of how misinformation spreads. What makes it even more striking is that John le Carré, who wrote the original novel, had worked in British intelligence himself. He once remarked that the spy world often runs on vanity and paperwork, not bravery, and The Tailor of Panama proves it. The film's world feels lived in. Smoke-filled embassies, sweaty back rooms, and people pretending to believe things they know are false. Former analysts praised it for showing how intelligence can turn into theater. Reports get exaggerated, sources get invented, lies travel faster than facts, and when the truth arrives, it's already too late. Beneath its humor lies something chillingly accurate. In the Cold War and beyond, perception was often more valuable than reality. Number 4. Funeral in Berlin, 1966. Long before spies were superheroes, Funeral in Berlin gave us the anti-hero version Harry Palmer played by Michael Caine, who looks like he'd rather be anywhere else. This sequel to the Ipcress File continues the grounded tone that made British espionage feel real for the first time on screen. The movie drops audiences right into divided Berlin, where Palmer is tasked with helping a Soviet defector escape. But of course, nothing is that simple. Every side plays a double game. Deals shift by the hour, and no one's motives are clean. What makes this film so revered among real agents is its authenticity. No gadgets, no glamour, just paperwork, bribery, and nerve. Even the gray skyline feels like part of the plot. Ex-MI5 officers have often cited this film as the first to make their world look accurate. Dull, bureaucratic, and dangerously unpredictable. Michael Caine's understated performance adds a weary realism to it all. His character doesn't look like he enjoys being a spy, he looks like he's trying to survive one more day. That's closer to the truth than most people realize. Filmed in the real Berlin just a few years after the wall went up, Funeral in Berlin feels like a time capsule of Cold War tension, polite conversation masking open fear. It reminds us that espionage was never about explosions. It was about enduring boredom without losing your mind. Number 3. The Fourth Protocol, 1987. When it comes to procedural authenticity, The Fourth Protocol could practically be a case file. Michael Caine again takes the lead, this time opposite Pierce Brosnan, in a story involving Soviet agents plotting to spark chaos in Britain during the late stages of the Cold War. What's fascinating about this film isn't the suspense, it's the method. Former intelligence veterans often note how well it portrays compartmentalized operations. No one knows the full plan. Each participant handles a fragment, and that secrecy keeps the entire system running. The details from surveillance routines to communication methods feel like they were ripped from declassified manuals. The screenplay, adapted from Frederick Forsyth's novel, reflects his deep research into real spycraft. Forsyth himself had once reported from war zones and consulted with intelligence sources, giving the story a credible backbone. Even the equipment, the coded signals, and the political maneuvering have been praised for their accuracy. But what really strikes viewers is how ordinary it all looks. The agents blend in perfectly, their actions mundane, their risks invisible. That's the realism. Real operatives appreciate the fact that the most dangerous people look like anyone else on the street. By the end, The Fourth Protocol leaves you unsettled not because of explosions, but because of how believable everything feels. It's the Cold War at its most procedural, and that's exactly why it still grips experts and fans alike. Number 2. Charlie Wilson's War, 2007. If politics is performance, then Charlie Wilson's War is the backstage pass. Based on real events, the film stars Tom Hanks as Congressman Charlie Wilson, a charming Texan who secretly channels U.S. funds to support Afghan resistance during the 1980s. It sounds like fiction, but it isn't. What makes this movie so startlingly real is how it exposes the blurred line between diplomacy and covert operations. Wilson's network of favors, backroom deals, and quiet negotiations mirrors how power often really worked during the Cold War through relationships, not orders. Former officials who lived through that period have praised the film's depiction of the informal side of intelligence work. The phone calls, the half-promises, and the personal alliances that made global strategy possible. Director Mike Nichols keeps the tone light but never cartoonish. You laugh at Wilson's confidence, then realize he's changing history with charm alone. Tom Hanks's portrayal captures that paradox perfectly. He's no spy, but he's doing a spy's job, and the results are as unpredictable as the real thing. Intelligence veterans have remarked that the film's most accurate element isn't the politics, it's the chaos. Everyone thinks they're in control until they aren't. By the end, Charlie Wilson's War delivers a lesson ex-agents know too well. Intelligence is often improvised, and history is written by whoever keeps the secret longest. Number 1. The Russia House, 1990. At the top of the list sits The Russia House, a film so understated it almost feels like a whisper in a crowded room. Sean Connery plays Barley Blair, a British publisher drawn into espionage when he's handed a secret manuscript from a Soviet scientist. What begins as a simple delivery turns into a game of trust that neither side fully understands. What makes this one a favorite among real intelligence professionals is its tone. There's no glamour, no chaos, just weary people trying to do something right in a world built on lies. Former agents have praised its dialogue-heavy realism and emotional intelligence. The film captures what happens when ordinary people are thrust into extraordinary secrets and how both sides of the Iron Curtain shared the same exhaustion. John le Carré again lends authenticity through his writing. He based much of the story on his experiences traveling in the Soviet Union and meeting double agents who were more human than villainous. The film even consulted with Cold War-era diplomats to get the setting right down to the slang and clothing. Sean Connery's subtle performance turns Barley Blair into a rare kind of spy hero, one who values truth over loyalty. And that, according to many who lived through the Cold War, is exactly what the world needed but rarely got. The Russia House closes our list not with fireworks but with quiet honesty. Because in the end, the real drama of the Cold War was never in explosions. It was in every whispered promise that someone might keep. So there you have it, 15 Cold War spy films that didn't just entertain. They nailed the truth behind the tension. Real ex-agents still nod at these stories saying, yes, that's what it felt like. They weren't about heroes, they were about endurance, silence, and survival. Which of these do you think captured the era best? Drop your thoughts below, subscribe, and stay tuned because history still has secrets worth watching.